Legal disclaimer. The information provided during this seminar is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. The presenters are not licensed medical professionals unless explicitly stated otherwise. All discussions, suggestions, and recommendations are based on personal experiences, research, and knowledge of natural remedies. Participants are advised to consult with a qualified healthcare provider or medical professional before making any changes to their diet, lifestyle, or healthcare regimen, including the use of natural remedies discussed during the seminar. Individual results may vary, and the information provided may not be suitable for every individual. By attending this seminar, participants acknowledge and agree that 1. The presenters and organizers shall not be held responsible or liable for any outcomes, direct or indirect, resulting from the use or misuse of the information presented. 2. Attendance and participation in this seminar do not establish a doctor-patient or professional-client relationship between participants and the presenters. 3. The use of the information provided is at the participants' own discretion and risk. This seminar is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All information is shared in good faith, and participants are encouraged to exercise personal judgment and seek professional advice as needed. But, we pray that you will seek be the great physician, and not the witch doctors of Babylon, that cut, burn, and poison the body temple. Revelation 18 verse 23.
I would go to the medicine cabinet and get out the pills and think to myself, if a headache is simply a lack of Excedrin, why don't I have a headache?
The average American is only drinking this amount of water. The average person in China who only drinks 4% of what they need, so about 3/4 of the way. That's how much water the average person in China is drinking.
In taking those 3 needle biopsies of my thyroid, they ascertained that I had cancer, but they couldn't tell what.
Our most heavenly Father, as we come into the most holy place of the sanctuary of heaven, by faith, by our faith that you have given us in the third angel's message, we praise you that our Savior is holding out his nail-scarred hands and pleading his blood in our behalf. Please have mercy upon us, O God, individually and collectively. We have been slow of understanding. We have been stubborn in keeping those things that have not been healthy for us, and as a result, we have been unable to discern the times that we live in. I pray that you will help us today to take a look at these 10 health laws that you gave us so long ago. And I praise you that you are restoring these to us, and as we live and learn and live them, that you're restoring us to health. For your word says that you would wish above all things that we would prosper and be in health, even as our souls prosper. And we know that our souls cannot prosper unless physically we're in no pain and we're in the best of health. So, Lord, we ask for your Spirit to come and bless us and help us to take these things that we learn and to be more careful and to live for you. We ask in Jesus' name and for his sake. Amen.
I had a paper on the desk here before we started setting. Where did you put my paper? Here. Thank you. Okay. Can't get to anything, but we've got so much. We got it all on here. Okay, I wanted to share just a couple more things off of the article that we were looking at. This is The Gospel of Health, January 1898, January 1, 1898. And this is off of the Ellen White article here. And it says, our habits of eating and drinking show whether we are of the world or among the number that the Lord, by his mighty cleaver of truth, has separated from the world. Skipping down. God calls upon us to stand upon the broad platform of temperance in eating, drinking, and dressing. And skipping down again, obedience to the laws of life must be made a matter of personal duty. We must answer to God for our habits and practices. So, Herman, you're not answering to us on this. You're answering to God. Okay? So, we're going to take it easy on you.
We'll let the Spirit do the rest.
We'll let the Spirit of the Lord do the rest,
Yeah.
yes. So, one more short one here, the last paragraph of this article. And it says, it is our duty to study the laws that govern our being and to conform to them. Ignorance in these things is sin. We cannot do as we please with our bodies, for they are God's property. Ye are bought with a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's.
Which belong to God.
So, we are going to be looking at one of the 10 laws of health.
The use of
Number
water.
8, the use of water.
And the only portion we're going to really talk about today is when we put it on the inside, not necessarily the outside, as this little picture here depicts. We're just not going to have time to cover all of that.
And we're going to also
So,
be talking about herbs. And the specific one that we're going to be talking about is garlic. And what we're going to do so that we can hopefully get all of this worked in, all of our testing done among with this, we're going to be, while we're doing some of the testing, we're also going to be
On the herb.
talking about the garlic. So we'll be working the two of these things together.
Why
And
don't you put it on that camera so we can...
so I will momentarily.
Sorry.
We have a whole lot of, and you can't even see it all in that picture. I'm not back far enough, but you can see the majority. So what we have done is we've gotten a lot of different samples of bottled water. We also have water from that comes from the city to our house and through our filtering system and our reverse osmosis system. We've also got some water from the pond that's out back, and we're going to do a bunch of testing of this. Now, with that being said, I need to specify in this that the names of the waters, we're going to tell you what they are as far as what the water is, the brand. That does not mean that we're putting down that company, that we're trying to do anything
Or advertise
or
for
advertising
a certain one.
for a
We're
certain
just
one.
showing you what happens with all the water,
If-
and then you can decide.
If we were to just go through and do a test and you didn't have a clue which bottle of water was which, what we're doing wouldn't be of any value to you. It would just be, well, some's good, some's bad, some's
Now what do I do?
Now what do I do with all this information? So the names of the stuff, and we have
Great value.
Great Value drinking water, Sam's
Club.
purified drinking water, Niagara purified drinking water, Pure Life, Aquafina, Dasani, Smart Water, Deer Park, Life,
Evian. Did you say Evian?
Evian,
Evian.
Life Water,
And then RO from our house and tap water from our house that's been run through. Tell them your system
Okay.
you have.
So yeah, I should explain let me explain about the tap water when we
you get
actually
to
test
Okay.
it.
Okay.
We've
And
got
then, of course,
some gallon jugs of, I got a Natty's spring water, purified spring water. We've got a couple gallons of different brands of distilled water as well. So we've got, not all of them, but we've got a good selection, a different choice. And then choices of that. Then we also have, I've got a, let me see if maybe that camera would be the best.
Okay.
So I've got the Safe Home test kit for water. I've got a Clario test kit for water. Yeah, don't spill that one on the electronics.
We're having fun.
For different test kits, we've got an electrolysis. There we go. I've got a couple of other testers. I've got a pH tester. I've got a TDS tester, which is tests parts per million of contaminants. That one's very revealing. We'll be able to do that and do it. So what we're going to do is, so Melanie's got the electrolysis tester, and I'm going to have to move that camera.
Electrolyzer.
I'm
Can't see it.
going to have to move that camera so that it can be better seen.
Okay.
So you talk while I move camera.
About. Okay, so what it says, he's talking about this electrolyzer apparatus that we're going to be using. What it does is it shows the impurities in your water. It says in here, on here, if the water turns yellow, it has acid, fluoride, and other organic matter in it. If it turns green, it has arsenic, mercury, lead, copper, and sodium. If it turns blue, it has bacteria, viruses, carcinogens, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and other radion and bacterial substances. And white is showing that it has lead, zinc, mercury, and inorganic materials. So that's what it's going to be showing us. So if the water turns yellow,
Melanie, you want to switch cameras there?
to number 4.
Number 1.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry.
So here we have an array of different things, and we'll see what color these waters all turn as we go through this. And it also stated this same thing on the box, which would have been easier to read, but we found last night when we were working with it, or yesterday when we were working with this, that
Sister Molly.
the fluoride was not mentioned on the back of the box here. Yes, sir.
I may have missed it, but is there a portion of that test where it may show if it has none of that in there, or did I miss something?
Yes, and you will see that.
You'll see it.
Okay, thank you.
You'll see it. If the water is pure, it will not turn any yellow, red, blue, green, or black.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I am wondering.
The distilled you had in here had turned yellow because we used it so many times, and the longer it sat, the more yellow it got. So I just thought we've got enough. You can.
Okay.
Could you go back over the green and blue?
The green would be arsenic, chloroform, tetrachloromethanes, copper, oxide, and I think it says other things on here. The green, arsenic, mercury, lead, copper, and sodium. It says on the machine itself. So.
What was the yellow? I think, Sister Molly, if you don't mind, go over them.
Do y'all
I'll put them up on the
Well,
screen
I'll tell you
so we
what.
can screenshot.
As it when it comes up, when the water turns the colors, we'll read it off again what it is.
Let me. They're wanting a screenshot
Thank
of this,
you.
though,
Yeah.
Mark. So why don't we
I was
just
going
put
to say,
this
why
here?
don't you do that over there?
Yeah.
Well, not just for that. I would say do the tests over there. So there's the electrolysis device that we're
And
using.
Zoom in on it so they can take a picture of the. See, the back of
Oh.
it shares what's on it.
I don't know if I can reach the computer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to be clear enough for them. We'll just share what it is as
Okay. Okay.
as we do it.
Somebody
But if you would do it over there on that,
one at a time.
they would be able to,
Okay.
I think, see it better. For the colors changing, they'll be looking straight down at it. So I think what we're going to do is to start with. So I have what's called a TDS tester. This is for contaminants. And for all practical purposes, and you won't be able to see it, it's too small, but distilled water should read 0. It should be clean. There shouldn't be anything that the TDS tester picks up. This one is saying 0. It bounced 1 for just a moment, and then it went back to 0. And so I'm going to give this little container to Melanie. And and I think, okay,
That's not gonna work.
scoot it back.
I have to come into these.
Scoot it back just a little bit, Melanie,
Okay.
in there. Also, we got to get this set up. We didn't get to practice in here with the cameras. I'm going to turn the camera so that it's...
The distilled water you just put up there that seemed to test fine, was that a specific brand, or you're not getting to that yet?
I can give you that. It wasn't a specific brand. It was actually a cheap one.
But it does have a brand on it, doesn't it?
But it does have a brand on it. I just happened to grab the one that was next to me. This is Crystal Springs distilled water that I used
Now,
here.
what are we going to start with for
And
this side?
let's do this one. So we're going to be looking at
Great value purified
distilled
drinking
water compared to the Great Value, which is Walmart brand of water.
Purified drinking water.
And I think, let's see here, camera 1 will show a little bit better of, so Melanie's over there with the scanner, and we'll set it up so that you can look straight down there into that. I think that'll be our best option. So what we're going to do is she's going to turn this on here. So point to which one is the distilled, Melanie? It's the closer one to you, right? Which one is distilled water?
I think it's this one. I forgot. No,
I guess we'll
think
know.
We'll know in a minute.
Okay. Okay, so she turned it on, and she's starting to run the time on it. And as we go to a couple of more, what we'll do is let her be running the tests on that
He's talking
while
about.
we're looking at other things. So, and while she's running that test, nothing's gonna change there, so I'm gonna take the camera back here again. So the other thing we did is we put the water into the freezer. And I took a picture this morning, but then didn't get it on the devices so that I could show it to you. But I did a temperature test. The freezer was at 8 degrees that we had the water in this morning. I've had the water in there since Thursday afternoon, and we thought it was interesting. I'm going to find it here, which one it was. There were 2 of them that didn't freeze. Oh, Dasani. That finally started gelling up a little bit last night. So I checked it about, I don't know, it was about 8 or 9 o'clock last night. So it had been in the freezer for more than 24 hours, and it was finally gelling up where it was not, it was kind of slushy. And so meaning that it took a lot more for this to freeze. We'll talk about why and a little bit. And there was another one, I'm trying to remember, I stuck it in here. It was the Pure Life. The Pure Life was the other one, that, and it's now frozen. They are all frozen. So between Thursday night at 8 degrees temperature, I mean, I've got all of them. They look like they're about ready to split a seam.
Okay.
Okay, you're ready over there, Melanie?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go back to her deal. You ran it for how long?
1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 minute 3 seconds actually.
Okay, so just over 1 minute.
This is the great value.
Okay, so great value, and you can see which is the distilled water.
A little bit yellow.
So yellow is...
No, it's not. It's purified. It's not...
Well, you've got distilled water, and you've got the clear. And the one that turned yellow is the great value.
And it has calcium chloride and sodium bicarbonate in it. So baking soda, which is known to cause cancer in the gut.
Let's put this down here, and so we can set those up here together. So the yellow indicates trace elements were found in it, various organic materials, but yellow could also be fluoride that is in it, and it doesn't specify which. So she's getting ready with the next one over here so that we can keep going again with that. She's got the timer set. So we're running them all the same amount of time. She's running a timer, and she's left the distilled water. We're using it again. And she's running the Aquafina.
Yes.
Yeah, Aquafina is the next one that she's doing. Oops. Which camera? Trying to figure out. There we go. That's the one I wanted. So you can kind of see what's going on over there with that. So she's going to be running that one. So all of the water froze. What we kind of got to speculating is that, because we've run into it where literally with below zero temperatures, the water in days and days and days didn't freeze. We were out west when that happened, and it may just be, and up north, it may just be that water that's being delivered out there, they're doing things to
keep it from freezing.
Keep it so that it doesn't freeze, so that people can use it. We're just speculating that. That's our speculation.
Aquafina. It turned a little bit
okay,
on the
so
violet side. It's a little bit violet.
Put it back over there next to that one. I want them to be able to look. Let me put it to that camera.
Oh, no, I'm not. Yeah. Well.
Okay.
Maybe not.
So there is the Aquafina and the distilled water. The Aquafina would be on the right. Yeah, there you go. And that's the distilled water, our test one. For the comparison.
Crystal Springs, right? Crystal Springs?
No, that is Aquafina.
Distilled water?
The distilled is the Crystal Springs.
Sorry.
And I did...
Deer Park?
Sure, you can do Deer Park. By the way, with the pH testing... with the testing the pH on them, we found most of them all were the same. They were all fairly neutral as we went through them all yesterday. So she's back getting it all set and running again for doing the next one. So you're doing Deer Park now?
Yes.
Okay, easy now. That's my water.
Okay, well, here you go. We can't control it. She's running it the same amount of time.
So
At least it was at this point, I guess.
Well, you'll see. So hand me the Deer Park Deer bottle. Thank you.
read to them the additives. That
Hey
are
guys,
Okay.
you have a hand up. You have a hand up in your group here.
Okay. I can't see it, but go ahead. Whoever's.
Sister Karen, Brother Mark. What impurities did Aquafina have? Did you give the what color did it turn, and what were the impurities?
Okay, Aquafina, sorry, I forgot about those on the phone, not being able to see very well with that. Aquafina stayed pretty clear.
It hardly has a tint to it.
It may have a slight yellow tint, but it's hardly anything at all. Now, one thing I wanted to share. So remember I told you that the distilled water was... okay, just leave those set right there beside each other, Melanie. So the distilled water was 0 parts per million as far as contaminants on the test. The TDS test on the Deer Park water is 55. And I didn't run the Aquafina. I didn't run these, but I want to show you all the difference, and maybe I should get a piece of paper and write these down. Aquafina is bouncing between 1 and 2 as far as contaminants. By the way, I have a bucket over here on the floor. Well, I guess you can't see me at this point. I have a bucket on the floor I'm pouring that water into. So hold up. So there we go. That is the Deer Park water. It has nicely turned yellow, even a little darker than the purified drinking water from Sam's Club, which is the various organic minerals, trace elements, and or fluoride that can do that. So, and I'm setting them up here so that, let's see here, that'd be on that camera. So we'll be able to give you a shot. We're putting the jars up here with the bottles of water behind it, so you'll be able, those that can see, can kind of look at the differences. But for those that could see that, you can, kind of tough to tell, but the Deer Park is just slightly darker. But something I want to point out in this, and that is so for instance, the Great Value, purified water, calcium chloride, and sodium bicarbonate. I've done a whole video on water, and the water, the things that I talked about is like calcium chloride. That is road de-icer. We also use it in cement, in concrete, in the cold country for in the wintertime when we pour cement to keep our cement from freezing. So why would they want to put calcium chloride in your water?
Because it creates thirst.
There you go.
You'll buy more
Calcium
water.
chloride makes you thirsty when you drink it, according to material data safety sheets. Okay, can we show them this over there before you
I don't know
send
if
it
you
off?
can see it so good here.
Let's...
This one's pale, but it's got
Okay,
additives.
so we just did smart water. That's what you're seeing up there on the screen. And same way, the distilled still on the same side. And it's turned a little bit...
Almost green. Yellow green.
Kind of, yeah.
Who said what?
Sister Molly,
Yes.
Sister Molly, could
Yes.
you put a white piece of paper underneath it? Having a black background doesn't help to see.
That's what I thought. He was saying put it back there so they can see, and I'm like, I don't think they're
Well,
gonna see.
put the white under them. There you go. Slide it forward just a little bit. There you go.
Brother Mark, it looks like the Aquafina seemed to do somewhat okay, but doesn't that have some nefarious ingredients in it as well?
No.
Aquafina, no.
Actually, it doesn't. All it says is purified by reverse osmosis. That's all it tells us. Now, I'm putting the smart water into a jar here to test with the TDS. I'm getting 20 parts per million with it. So it's and the TDS, again, that is the it will not only measure bad, but it measures good. It's like the minerals or contaminants that's in the water that
we went 4 minutes last night with all of them, and one was it looked like apple juice. It was really dark yellow. Another was greenish yellow. So
I don't know if I'm going to take time to use the test strips and the kits, but I want to tell you about them. I've got 2 different ones. I did that so that we could have the samples there with that. We could play with it and test it. They work. But they're so indiscriminate and they're such a wide, broad scale that for all practical purposes, for instance, one of them has the ability of testing, what is it here? Sodium chloride. So I went and got some salt, and I put 1/8 of a cup of salt into a quart of water, stirred it up, and put it in there. And that's literally what it took to get it to register that it was elevated with sodium chloride. Okay. Well, that was a huge amount of that in there. So what I'm basically saying is, yeah, you can test it, but I don't know that it's worth your time to get those unless it's an extreme issue. Okay, so Melanie has used the Purified Life.
No, Pure Life.
Or Pure Life, sorry. Pure Life water. Does it have anything added in the ingredients on it?
It has purified water, less than 1% of calcium chloride, sodium bicarbonate, and magnesium sulfate.
Okay.
So that's why it's turning yellow.
And so we have a little bit of, so there's some minerals in it.
Color.
And, okay, let me
grab next. Life Water, WTR.
Yeah.
Triple filtered. We'll see.
Okay, so the Pure Life is about 27 parts, 25 parts per million on the test.
Brother Mark, this may be asking a lot, but there a way you guys can chronicle this stuff and at some point, maybe during the week or whatever, and be able to give us like a chart on it?
Yeah, that would be asking a lot. I think
not for the next couple of weeks.
I think I think with the testing that we're doing here, by the time we get to the end of it, you will get a pretty clear idea of what to do. So Melanie's working on the Life Water, Life WTR. And
okay, fair enough.
The one before, the Smart Water, you said yellow to kind of green, but what would you say that means?
Once it sits a little bit, does it?
The yellow to the one that kind of
it had added things in it.
So what shows up there, and it's probably copper, but it also could be chloroform or arsenic. That's the one thing about these testers or this testing that we're doing with this. You'd have to take it to a lab and have lab work done on every single one of these things.
To see what?
To see exactly what. And then if it was a lab that might have a bias, if you took them something with a label on it, they might not give you a true reading of it. You'd almost have to be a chemist yourself to be able to go through and really do it. I wish there was a way of getting a clearer like, yeah, for sure there's arsenic in that one, or no, there isn't, or for sure there's fluoride, or no, there isn't. But there are some pretty good indicators. Okay, so Melanie's telling me she's ready with the Life Water. And it is
kind of greenish yellow.
Kind of a greenish yellow, but very, very
it's triple
slight.
filtered. It's triple filtered, so you're fine. We already did Sam's water, didn't we?
No,
that
we
was
didn't.
last time. Okay. Got
Yeah.
it.
No, we didn't. Okay, so
Yes.
Mark, is there any tests that you have for the plastic that the water's held in?
We do not, and I wondered about that because some of these bottles say totally recycled plastic, which I've been hearing the recycled plastic is kind of toxic, worse than the
I wish there was a way. I wish there was a way.
Well, I
But-
think when you finish with all this, you're going to discover that your distilled water is your best water, because I'm going to have to go. Is this going to be able to be viewed on YouTube?
Yes, we'll be putting this out on YouTube.
So the Life Water showed up on the TDS tester at 19 parts. As far as the contaminants.
Here's your next one.
Okay. So she's working on Sam's Club water right now, which, by the way, I gotta point this one out. So I'm gonna go to the ingredients: purified water, magnesium sulfate, potassium bicarbonate, and potassium chloride. So it doesn't have the calcium chloride in it, but it has the it's added the other minerals. What they're doing is they run the water through filters, they purify it, and then
Here it is.
and I'm still on it. I've been on that one. I just realized.
Green.
It does have a kind of a green hue
green.
to it.
It does.
So again, the green hue would be arsenic, chloroform, copper. When I did the tests with the strips, and I could do that on that one. Let me do that and see. But I think, if I remember right, Sam's Club on the test strips showed up as high in copper. Not high, but marginally up. It wasn't high. But what they do, this is the one I want. So what they're doing is they purify the water through either reverse osmosis or a series of filters, and then they
Add stuff back to it.
they add things back to it to, quote,
pH balance or whatever.
get it for flavor. They add the minerals back to it. Okay, so yeah, I just did, and I don't know. Okay.
So, Mark, when you're getting these TDF results, like 19 parts or 27 parts, could that be the minerals as well as contaminants?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay.
Okay, so
Give me just a moment.
okay, we're working on, Melanie's working on one more there. So yes, it could be the minerals that are showing up as part of that. The problem is, and this is one of the questions that comes with this, and I can't give you an answer. I am not a water expert, and I don't profess to be a water expert. In fact, with what I'm going to show you here in a little bit, it's almost comical. Okay, so let's go back here. So what do we got?
Niagara.
Niagara.
Never changed color. Last night and it didn't today. Well, it's
It looks almost perfectly identical to our sample test water, which was the distilled water. It's clear. So Niagara seems to even be better than the Aquafina as far as the clarity of it. Now, what Melanie's got over there that she just put in is we've got the test strip. Move the test strip there, Melanie, so they can see what the test strip is. No, pull the test strip.
Oh.
So they can see that's your test strip. So we put it there and we lay it right next to it. And it's been a little bit long, but third one down there on the list is the copper. And you'll see the copper's kind of showing up between the 0 and the
2.
And the
Point
2. 0.2. So it is showing, and that's what we were seeing. We thought we were seeing with the bit of the green hue to it and that's the Sam's purified water. It's probably a bit of copper that we're seeing in there that's showing up with that.
Okay. You want this back?
Yeah, I'll take that back.
Okay.
Brother Mark, a couple of things on that. Number one, depending on the amount of copper, is that really a bad thing? And number two, can you give the ingredients that's in the Niagara water?
Okay, so I'll give you the answer, the easy one first. Niagara water, purified by reverse osmosis. And it doesn't say, well, it's got where the manufacturing, bottled by Niagara Bottling, Diamond Bar, California. I can't tell you any more than that. Purified by reverse osmosis. So what this is coming down to is okay. So Melanie just put in here Dasani.
Yeah.
And what this is coming down to is that you're going to see is the reverse osmosis and the distilled water are the cleanest as far as contaminants, as far as minerals in that. So we need things like copper in our system. Problem is, too much can become a problem. And then the other question comes from the source of copper that is, say, in the Sam's water here. Is it an inorganic or non-organic? Meaning can my body do something with it, or is it just another problem that's accumulating with that?
Understood. Thank you.
And I can't answer that question for you as to exactly what.
Did I give you the bottle for this one?
You did.
Okay.
I've got the bottle sitting down here.
Okay. Whoops.
What we thought was so interesting was the difference. So Dasani,
just changed a little
it
bit.
turned, what, ever so slightly yellowed?
No.
Huh?
Put it down on a white deal. I think it's yellow.
I think it's ever so slightly white.
Okay.
Now but I'm looking straight down into it. I don't know if that camera view would help any or not. So the Dasani is down here where my finger is.
Can you spell that brand, Mark?
Dasani.
Now what's next?
Okay.
I want to. That's our old tap. Unfiltered. Okay, this one right here.
Did we do all the bottles?
Now you've got this one yet.
Oh, okay. It was behind these guys. Do you want me to do these purified waters too?
Yeah, you can do one of those.
Okay.
Okay, so
Are you saying, Brother Mark, that the Dasani is slightly yellow or slightly white?
It is slightly, I would say ever so slightly yellowed. Of all of the ones that have yellowed, it is less than.
Okay, this is our municipal water of Girtley County.
So what she's doing is I took water. Let me go back to that one. So what she's running right now is the water coming out of our if we didn't have a filtration system here in our house, this is what it would be. That we would have at our house.
Tell them what you have for a filtration system.
So, yeah, this is a good time now to tell them that. By the way, it's right now it's turning white. And now it's kind of turning brown. I've got it on the camera so they can see it. So,
these folks up here on the mountain are right proud of the fluoride in their water.
what we have for our water system is I have a pre-filter. I have a large carbon filter. Then I have a charcoal filter, whole house charcoal filter. Then I have a large carbon filter. Then I have a water softener. Then I have
The reverse.
a reverse osmosis under the sink. This is the water coming to the house before any of those filters. And it's definitely brown,
Brownish yellow.
kind of a brownish yellow,
It's still got its white whatever.
which, yeah.
Oh, let's go to the Alps. I forgot this one. It was behind the stuff.
Okay.
Let's go to the Alps.
So, likely our water that's the tap water for our house, we likely have some mercury, and copper, and
Put it on you so they can see the one you're talking about.
I'll put it on that one.
Yeah.
So, is it in the picture? No, it's not even in the picture. My camera won't go wide enough.
Should I move you
Okay.
over?
Nope. Go like that.
Okay.
Um,
Now it doesn't go down.
This one here. Yeah. That one I put the wide angle on so they could see. So that's this one down here at the end. So far, it's about the worst one that we've tested out of the whole group. So far. So, although you're going to find an interesting one. We have a very expensive Evian. It's a French Evian. It's Evian. Evian. And let me turn it over here on Melanie. Take a look at what's going on over there with her. It is really turning ugly.
Man, that's bad as the tap water.
That's worse. It's worse than the tap water. And being it's Sabbath, we're not going to talk about what I paid for these bottles, but this was the most expensive water that we found in the several stores that we went to.
French water. It's from France.
It's from
supposedly.
Yeah. So this is the stuff that you would be paying more for. It's naturally balanced. I'm reading the label. Natural electrolytes, 7.2 pH balanced. We don't add things for taste or enhance with extras.
Guess what?
That just looks right out scary.
You should have seen it after 4 minutes. It actually...
We'll do that. We'll save it.
Okay.
We'll run it here in a little bit.
Okay.
If we got
Last night it shocked us pretty bad after doing 4 minutes.
So by far, that even compared to... Let me go back to my camera here.
Where's our pond?
Is it... wait a second here. Yeah, 2. Is it in here now? It's now out of the... No, it's there. So by far, this water from the French Alps is the worst. So you can see the difference. It really does make a difference. You can see that it's by far the worst. I'm running out of places here, Melanie. Let's take that. That's distilled. Put it off to the side.
Okay.
We're going to take this as your next one right there that you're doing. Okay, so what Melanie is working on right now is...
I forgot to set my alarm.
This is pond water. We have a pond out behind the house. And I actually didn't take it directly out of the pond because there's an overflow pipe out of the pond and it runs down a little creek, through the brush, through the brambles. And so I went to a nice easy spot. There are dead trees laying into the pond. It's not a nice clean pond. It's not a pretty pond. It's in the woods, thick, and it's scummy. And it ran down through the little creek thing, and I caught it probably 100 feet below the pond, and it was flowing at that. It is because of all the rain we had. There was water flowing, and I took some of it out of there. So you could see, interestingly enough, so far, we'll see where we get for our time, but the pond water is cleaner than our tap water that comes to the house. The pond water is cleaner, definitely cleaner than this French
When
water.
it's flowing. I don't know.
It did turn slightly yellow.
I think the oxygen is going to come out of it.
Yeah, bubbles that come up and out. It turned slightly yellow.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now you've got, go ahead and do that reverse osmosis.
From our
The slightly yellow in that particular case could be somewhat of a good thing.
The tannins
It-
in the oak leaves, you've got
It could be, yeah, the tannins from the oak leaves. It could be a little,
Karen?
it says various organic minerals. So it could be
All the leaves in the...
all the leaves in the pond and the things, the roots. There was a root that was sticking out of the ground right there where I took that sample. Okay, so she's working on water now from our reverse osmosis. And
Do you have any deionized water?
no,
That should be similar to distilled water.
I would think so. We didn't find any samples, and I don't have any way of doing that. So literally what is coming down to here with these tests is your distilled water. I mean, her distilled water that she's been using from the beginning, even though it's been run for what?
16?
16, yeah,
Or
about
17?
17 minutes. It's ever so slightly changed in color. The one that we're using just
there's
as...
14.
There's 14 here?
2, 4, 6,
I didn't count.
12, 14.
14?
Yeah, 14 jars.
Okay, so that one is ever so slightly changing color after 14 minutes, our distilled is. But the reverse osmosis that she's doing actually looks cleaner than the distilled right now because the distilled was
Has been used for a
been
while.
used for a while. If we'd have run
Yeah.
them clean, so
So that's our...
And that's
our-
the Crystal Springs distilled water, correct?
no,
This
that
is-
one
yes,
is.
it is.
Oh, that was the Crystal Springs distilled. Yes.
All right, Brother Mark, I'm taking notes here now.
Oh, we got one more.
Oh, joy.
We had a bucket sitting outside the back door, and I saw water in it.
Rainwater.
Rainwater.
Because of all the rain coming down.
So, because of all of the rain. So, and the bucket wasn't super clean. So I did filter this water through a paper towel just to take out the thick sediment, but that's all that's been done to it, is I ran it through a paper towel because the bucket wasn't planned to be a catch for that. It just happened to be one sitting there. So we'll see. We've not tested this. This is rainwater right here in Tennessee. So we'll see what it comes up to. But what it's coming down to is distilled water is your cleanest, purest water. Reverse osmosis is right close to it. But then there becomes a problem with that, especially distilled water, and we've run into this. Distilled water is a hungry water. It absorbs things well. So if you're making an herbal tea,
Awesome.
it's fantastic for making an herbal tea. And because it will pull all of the minerals and the nutrients out of the herb and do a much better job, and so that you are able to get those. But if you drink distilled water day in, day out, month in, year out type of thing,
I did that for a couple of years.
you will end up depleting your minerals and vitamins in your body unless you're doing something to help that. So she just finished the, is it? Yeah, it's up. She just finished the rainwater. It actually looks pretty clear. And that's very interesting because supposedly rainwater, with all of their chemtrails and all of that, is very contaminated with all kinds of toxic, neurological poisoning.
Mark, would you hand me that one we got such a delightful reaction
Yes.
from last night? No,
This
I
one?
wanted to. I don't have another.
Brother Mark, according to my notes, the Walmart Great Value distilled water didn't do so well, though,
Give
right?
me the jar of it.
Oh, you want the jar.
The Walmart Great Value. Let's see. No, it's yellow, brother.
It's slightly yellowed.
That's why I thought. So that distilled water we were going to stay away from. I'm
Okay,
assuming.
well, no, this was the, where is it here? Here it is. This was purified drinking water. This was not distilled from Walmart.
So put it on this, Mark. I want them to see what happens.
Okay. Now, what Melanie is doing here is she took the Evian, however, the French one.
Yeah.
I'm not French. So she's taken that. We ran this one last night because we were, I say night, it was just
Yesterday
before
afternoon.
sunset. Anyway, as we were finishing up with them. We ran this for about 4 minutes, and so she's going to run this one longer.
So I want you to see what happens to this stuff.
It is amazing. The others just get a little darker in color.
We ran everything for 4 minutes, and the ones that are slightly yellow here, some of them turned darker, some of them, one of them got quite brown. I think it was actually one of our, pond water? No, not
No, the pond water was actually one of the
It
cleaner.
was the one out of our tap that we don't do
Yeah.
anything with. So here this is. This has gone for 2 minutes now. One a while ago and one now.
You can see it's starting to, it's almost turning black.
We left it on the counter overnight, and it all the green junk fell to the bottom, and there was a reddish brown scum on the top of it. So all their minerals and stuff separated in the night.
Black.
Which one is that? Which one is that?
Evian from France, from the
Here.
Alps.
Oh, that's the Evian? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So black, it tells us, is heavy metals: zinc, lead, mercury, copper, chromium, manganese, and cadmium.
I didn't think those Frenchies had anything against us Americans.
Repeat those, Mark.
Zinc, lead. Now, and I should specify, I'll say them again, but I should specify, this doesn't mean it has every one of these or all of them. It just means that there is
Something
a good
causing-
possibility of it being, these things being in there. Zinc, lead, mercury, copper, chromium, manganese, and cadmium. And there's one that I forgot to get. She's going to run that test. I got to go get one more water. It's in the fridge. I didn't get it in here.
So I'm running this for 3 extra minutes because we did 4 last night, and I'm almost there. And then we'll take it out to where you can see better.
Sister Molly, I may have missed this, but what did the freezing test result from? What resulted out of the freezing the waters test? What
So,
was the purpose there?
okay, I'm back as
The
well.
ones we bought down here all froze. And all Mark and I can reckon is that they don't expect hard winters in Tennessee, so they don't put isopropyl alcohol in it here like they do up on the Canadian border where we come from. So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
So-
if you can see this.
I turned it to the side camera there so you could see how all the scum has
I
come to the
forgot,
top.
It gets real hot. Okay. So
The
this
scum all came to
was-
the top. The bottom looks pretty clear, but you can see the scum line there on the top of that jar.
Yeah. So put it to
Over the top.
It gets pretty hot. Yeah, put it over the top so they can see how. It's a dark green with some browns in there. The browns haven't come.
Yeah, kind of a dark green brown with, well, the brown's not even a list here. It looks black in the camera, but there is a green hue to it as we're looking at it here.
Again, because it's starting to fall. This is all.
So the test, the results with the freezing.
Here, the jar's still kind of warm, so be careful.
All of them.
It's hot.
All of them froze, but the Dasani and the
Took their sweet time about it.
The which one was it here? I'm looking. Pure Life. The Dasani and the Pure Life. It took more than 24 hours for them. They were kind of slow about it. Okay, Melanie, do we want to try this? We didn't try it last night. I don't know how it'll respond.
I don't know if I can because my jars are different
Sized? Okay.
Heights. My jars are different heights.
Okay. So what I'm talking about, and the reason I was asking her if you wanted to try, this is Panacos Ultra 100% ultra pure deep seawater. And this comes from about 600 meters down out in the ocean off of the bay of between Mexico and California.
Out of the
they go
Cousteau's trench.
They call it. It's way
the
out.
Deepest.
And then they go down 600 meters and they take it out there. This has supposedly all the natural elements that you need. We've not run it on our ionized tester because it's expensive and I didn't want to run it last night.
Can you spell that, please?
It's Panakos. This is not drinking water. If you drink this entire bottle,
Well, it'll cleanse you out. We do it for
it's
deep cleanse.
Panakos. This is and it's seawater. And if you're searching for it, I'll just say Amazon, search seawater as one word, and the Panacos, and you'll find it. I think it might be a awesome natural mineral supplement to be using in conjunction with the reverse osmosis or the distilled water.
I use it when I make salad dressings or hummus. I use it instead of water and salt because this gives you all your balanced minerals, your trace minerals, your selenium, everything that you're missing. And we never have to take all the supplements of this and that are inorganic. Inorganic? I always forget which way it is. If you pulverize rocks and you take that in calcium or whatever, you get rheumatism. But if you take the seawater that has the minerals in it, they're assumable in the body and they don't just go into places and make pain in your body like supplements do. So here we have the menagerie.
Sister Molly, did you say you use them in conjunction with distilled water and reverse osmosis water?
Well, we use RO. Yeah, we use RO water. What I was saying was I use it in you can't call it cooking, but when I blend up like sunseed sour cream, I use it for the water base or part of it because I don't want it too salty. But anytime I'm going to use something that's not cooked, put together like a homemade ketchup or a homemade sweet sour cream, not a sweet cream, but anything like that, I put that in
instead of salt.
Instead of salt and our RO water, and that way we're getting our minerals. For hummus, I use it in hummus, etc. So anytime you're blending up anything that you're gonna use like dips for crackers and whatnot.
And I did do a test on the this Panacos with the test strips last night. I was curious to see if anything would show up as far as, and it did show up fairly heavy on some of the minerals, but mercury was not in the list, and that was one that I was quite concerned about, being seawater. That's been a pretty good concern. So
I'm trying to get these guys.
The
Cool.
best ones.
Yes, I'm trying to pull the best ones.
Okay, Brother Mark, I've been holding this question for a while, but I've got to bring it up. So,
Okay.
okay.
Go for it. Hit it.
All right. So I'm going to just preface it by saying the Bible promotes spring water and mist meaning distilled water in the garden. Now, at the same time, the reverse osmosis process, like the distilled process, doesn't it take out too much of the minerals from the water? Isn't it kind of the same thing?
Yeah. When I do a test with the TDS tester on the reverse osmosis, it'll bounce between 0 and 1, sometimes 1 and 2, depending on, with it, which one it is.
Well, my concern is if I switch over to the reverse osmosis, which I'm somewhat motivated to do, I'm concerned that I'm going to be taking minerals out of my system like I would be with distilled water. So help convince me otherwise.
Put it this way, we've been on reverse osmosis for 7 years now. Almost 7 years now, and I've not had a problem. But when we went on distilled water years ago, when I was younger and more active...
And we were making our own distilled water from a spring that was on the property, was when we were on the ranch. So it was spring water that was distilled in our own distiller.
In just 2 years' time, my health plummeted, and I finally went in to get tested and see what was wrong, and the doctor was like, "You have no vitamins, no minerals in your system. What are you doing?" And I had to get B vitamin shots to get up and going because I had lamb season coming, and I had to be on my feet and feeding lambs around the clock every 2 hours. And the bums, I'd have up to 180, 190 bums. So we went with that route, and I thought, never again. So in just 2 years' time, the distilled water only gave me a problem. The RO has not done that for me. And I don't know if it's because in the last year, we've gone, well, I didn't have trouble for the last 6 years, though.
No.
But in the last year, we've gone to using the Panicos. In, putting it in things like I just
mentioned. And not
mentioned.
large amounts.
Not large amounts.
By any stretch.
So.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. I live rurally, and I have spring water direct from an aquifer on the land. It's UV purified. Now, would you suggest a similar testing procedures for my spring water?
I would, and here's why. Up in Canada,
Yes.
Hohen talks about spring water. He said that on the land there, where he was working, there was a spring, and the man told him when he first got there, one of the helpers there that he was working with said, "Don't drink this water." He says, "I've been here for months." He says, "I go 12 miles away, I believe it was, or 6 miles away, to another spring to get water, because if you pour this spring water right out of the ground into a kettle and try and boil it, it will just evaporate. It is so heavy with toxic metals because that area years before had been mined or something, and they'd used chemicals. So you don't know what's happened in the past to your springs area. So get your spring water tested. Not all spring water is
equal,
and neither is artesian well water. When I was at Castle Valley, which is desert, Utah, in between two ridges of mesas in this valley that had not been lived in or farmed really, they set up the school there, and they had 7 artesian wells. Well, we all did fine on it, we thought, but one of the teachers who was there for 21 years came down very sick, and they took her in, and her arsenic level was off the charts. And then they started testing other people in the school that had been there a while, her husband being one of them who had been there. And so his arsenic level was almost as high as hers, but he worked on the farm, not inside. She was the principal, and he was the farm manager, I believe. He worked on the farm, and so he was outside sweating a lot. Well, they found out that these artesian wells, these aquifers, were loaded with arsenic naturally. It's just the way it is there in the high desert of Utah. So they had to do something with their water to purify it.
Right.
So just because it comes out of the ground doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. In fact, if you go off of this mountain here in our area, and Tennessee, they're terrified of wells.
Yeah.
And it's because they, for years and years and years, they've put a lot of fertilizer on their crops around here. And so the wells are all contaminated. And that's why they'd rather drink out of a pond that everybody swims in and runs boats on in the summer than out of wells here. Because of...
Right, so would be... Yes, thank you, and understood. Would you suggest a similar testing process to the one that you've conducted, or would it be perhaps different?
No, you could do the same thing.
It's simpler than taking it to the lab.
Yeah, you could do the same thing.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
And we could share at a later point when it's not Sabbath as to where the little tester came from and that kind of information.
So we have good...
The waters, what we wanted to recap with is the cleanest ones that we, out of all of these that we tested, Niagara,
which is RO,
which is a reverse osmosis, Aquafina, which is a reverse osmosis, and the other clean one was our reverse osmosis.
Sure enough. So RO gets it clean. We didn't, and then of course this went through all the testing, and he's a little bit
darker. That was the distilled,
but that's the. And that could have come off the nodes because last night we didn't realize you put one side in purified or in distilled water to do the other side so the nodes work better.
So this just kind of shows the impurities there. I wish we could get a zoom picture of that.
Can we?
Brother Mark and Sister Molly, I just want to take a moment to thank you both for this wonderful demonstration. For giving us some clarity on these things is definitely a blessing.
Okay. Look at this one from the Alps.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to kind of throw out something because, when I grew up, of course, we took tours of the city water purification plant. And for many, many years, that's all that was required. And they tested the water and it was in the levels to drink. And all of a sudden then, we had to get bottled water because, boy, they can make a lot of money and they can control what's in it.
Correct.
So I think Satan, that's one of the main sources we have for life is water. And recently I watched a video that says, glyphosate is even in the rainwater. They've used it so heavily that it's in everything. But I want to share this one particular article.
Let's wait.
I think everybody needs to be aware of if you're drinking city water at all. And it's called The Fluoridation Conspiracy. The following is quoted from the American Mercury magazine, November 1959, page 134. Here's an unforgettable statement on the effects of fluoride on the human brain. It is from one of the nation's most foremost industrial chemists, Charles Eliot Perkins, who was sent by the United States government to help take charge of the giant IV Farben chemical plants in Germany at the end of World War II. The statement is taken from a letter which Mr. Perkins wrote the Lee Foundation for Nutritional Research, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, October 2nd, 1954. To wit, the German chemist worked out a very ingenious and far-reaching plan of mass control which was submitted to and adopted by the German General Staff.
Yes.
This plan was to control the population in any given area through mass medication of drinking supplies. In this scheme of mass control, sodium fluoride occupied a prominent place. However, and I want to make this very definite and very positive, the real reason behind water fluoridation is not to benefit children's teeth. The real purpose behind water fluoridation is to reduce the resistance of the masses to domination and control and loss of liberty. Repeated doses of infinitesimal amounts of fluoride will in time gradually reduce the individual's power to resist domination by slowly poisoning and narcotizing this area of brain tissue,
Yes.
and make him submissive to the will of those who wish to govern him.
Yes.
I was told of this entire scheme by a German chemist who was an official of the great Farben chemical industries and was prominent in the Nazi movement at the time. I say this with all earnestness and sincerity of a scientist who has spent nearly 20 years researching into the chemistry, biochemistry, physiology, and pathology of fluorine. Any person who drinks artificially fluoridated water for a period of 1 year or more will never again be the same person mentally or physically.
Amen.
And so I think, the source is always Satan.
Correct.
Very good, Donna. Precise, spot on. And I love it.
From a book called Murder by Injection, The Story of the Medical Conspiracy Against America by Eustace Mullins. A doctor's wife gave me this, and I tell you what, it ties everything together.
Sister Donna, can you repeat that? Sister Donna, can you repeat that?
The name of the
Murder
art.
by Injection. The Story of the Medical Conspiracy Against America by Eustace, E-U-S-T-A-C-E, Mullins, M-U-L-L-I-N-S. And he wrote a lot of other interesting books. Secrets of the Federal Reserve and The World Order and The Writ for Martyrs and Curse of Canaan, Rape of Justice, Great Betrayal, The General Welfare Clause of the he's got some interest. I'd love to read all of his books.
So I want to take
Very
this.
well informed.
I want to take this to this one. What I'm holding up here in front of the camera, this is the pond water test that I held up.
I was going to say, God's water seems to test better than all that man-made water.
It did.
And it really did. So I've got pond water here in my right hand. I've got RO Niagara water next to it. And you can see the pond water is slightly yellowed.
Because it has leaves in it. Had leaves in it.
So there's hardly any difference. So here is the summary, the point, the reason, the conclusions that we have come to.
Boil it if you're going to take it out of the
with
pond.
all of this. No, I wouldn't drink straight out of the pond, but I'd probably be safer to drink out of the pond if it were filtered, to make sure that because you never know when a deer may drop by and leave something in there for you, or the possum or whatever.
Or if a beaver comes through, then you might get giardia.
Giardia or something of that sort. So it would take some type of filtration if you're just going to take it out of a pond. But my point is, all of the bottled waters, none of them are very good. Mm-mm. Probably the best two that we tested here was the Aquafina and the Niagara, and I said that probably backwards.
Both reverse osmosis.
And both are reverse. I think the Niagara might be slightly better than maybe, or are they the same? They're about the same. So those two out of the bottled ones, if you have to do in bottle, that might be your better option. Reverse osmosis would be a good option for that. But the ultimate option is what Ellen White told us, and that is out of the cities. Out of the cities. And there's more reason because of destruction coming on the cities with disaster and fire and all of these things. But what about the water? When you're in the city, you're in a situation, and we see ourselves where we're at right now, and we want out, have been. This was just a stepping stone when we came, but, and we were out, but we came out east so we could get books on the east of the country. But anyway, getting your own source of water. I would say what the water that Carol Ann has would be likely way safer than anything I have sitting here on this table.
Yeah.
maybe besides the distilled, and I'm not going to go to the UK to get her water so I can have it here. That's not quite practical. But anyway, we need to be working with the goal of getting ourselves in a better situation so we can have better water, so we can have privacy, so we can be away from all of the sights and the sounds and the issues of the cities. And really, ultimately, that's what it came down to with our test. But it's interesting to be able to show that the pond water is better than the water from Evian, from the French Alps.
Or from...
And even some of these others. The pond water was less yellow
better than
than
Life Water.
better than Deer Park.
I told Mark, what are we going to do with all these... I asked him, what are we going to do with all these cases of water? So, I really appreciate you reading that about the fluoride, Donna.
By the way, reverse osmosis, from all I can find, does remove the majority of the fluoride out of the water. So if you have your own reverse osmosis and you're doing that, you're getting the majority. You are not going to get it all. And the other thing, a lot of the reverse osmosis units that you would get to put into your house,
that's called the Berkey. The charcoal in them is from bones, pig bones.
The Berkey, don't waste your pennies on that for sure.
But Brother Mark.
Yes.
So there was a comment made, praise the Lord on it, but we seem to have surmised that we are safer to get the water from the source of God.
Correct.
Please forgive me. Reverse osmosis is a source from God.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
But we're going to do the best we can do until we can get that source.
We know a person who had rain gutters on their house, so they directed him into catchable places and started using that filtered rainwater. They would filter it through just a coffee filter, a cloth filter.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing that myself.
Yes. And if you live in Tennessee, you can gather a lot of water.
The reason I said what I said about distilling and reverse osmosis is, so if you're still in an area where the water coming to your house is less than good, like what the water coming to our house is, then our recommendation would be distilled or reverse osmosis would be the better option, but unless you could go to a spring that's in the area that you knew was good or that you could check that was good and go with using that and bring your drinking water that way. By the way, just so that y'all know, if you're taking a shower in fluoridated water, it is affecting you. The system we've got here, I may be getting a little of it out, but we have concerns about that for our own health here.
Yeah. We're not keeping up on all the questions.
No, we're not. I couldn't keep up with the chat too, so I have totally been not seeing.
Our food should give us the minerals, or if you're mineral deplete, like we said, go to the Panacos deep sea water, and we found it is pure. We tested it for purity, and it's pure. Distilled water for over 30 years and had no problem. Awesome. Good. I had issues. I don't know why. Rainwater is the best water. Yes, slightly acidic, but you know what? Better than bottled water.
Here's the rainwater. No, this is pond. Where's the rainwater? Where's the RW?
Rainwater is
That's
distilled.
RO.
Rainwater is distilled water. Yes, it is.
I have a question.
Here it is.
Okay, Karen.
My hand is up. The pond water, it was moving water. Not the pond water. Yes, the pond water.
It came out of the pond. He caught it 100 feet down because he just had to step off the road to get it instead of going down into the brush and getting all muddy.
Yeah, if he didn't have if you don't have a tester to test that pond water, and you needed water,
Boil it.
so that's what I was just going to say.
Boil it.
You could boil it.
Boil it
would
and
be
filter
healthy.
it. Yes.
Yes, I grew up in the Caribbean, and we had cisterns, and we caught the rainwater from the spoutings around the house, and when we drank the water, my mother would boil it,
Yes.
and we put these little fishes. They had little fishes called millions, tiny, tiny fishes that as a backup to eat up if anything, was impure
That's
in
an
the
idea.
water.
Yeah, to eat up the bacteria. That's awesome.
And if the sister who had the article on the fluoride, if she could write that in the chat, because I did not get the name of the...
It's there. It's by Eustace Mullins, and it's Murder by Injection.
Thank you.
We had been in Tennessee for a short time, and I was driving for just a few months, and I was driving somewhere, and I forget where, but it mentioned it's the little sign by the road driving through one of these little towns.
That was right near the water treatment facility for our area.
Said that they use fluoride in the water, and I was shocked. And so I called them when I got home. I called them and said, have you done the studies on fluoride? Do you realize what you're doing to the people? And she said, just a minute. So she hands me to a fellow, excuse me. And he started like reading something to me about how it fixes the teeth and how their children can do better and blah, blah, blah. With fluoride in the water, it makes better gums and no gum disease. And I said, but have you done the studies? Have you seen the studies done in Russia on what fluoride does to the mind? And he just kept repeating the same thing about how it makes better teeth in little children. And I said, sir, it destroys the brain. It is benumbing people's brains. And he said, what? And so I tried to talk with him about it. And he got really defensive really fast and kept saying, this is really good for you. It's really good for you. And I said, I do not agree. I said, now I understand. I said, I moved from the other side of the country. And I said, now I understand why people in this area seem 3 bricks shy of a full load. And he got upset and hung up on me. But you're correct. It changes people. It totally messes with your brain.
So I just did a pH test because I have a digital pH tester here. And it's running now this is the rainwater that I gathered, which was not really, I would say, clean source. The bucket that I took it out of wasn't a clean bucket. It was just, it had been used for,
it's the one I bring stuff in from the greenhouse, and it's been sitting there for all fall and winter.
So anyway, and it was emptied not too long ago, so I knew it wasn't old rainwater. It was from the last storm or two. Anyway, it tested at about an 8.8 pH is where that showed up. Where most of these bottled waters, when I went through and tested them yesterday afternoon, they were all running a little lower in the 7s, 6.8. I think I saw one at 5.7. But like the reverse osmosis and whatnot, those are right around the neutral, the 7 point. And go ahead, Richard.
Hey, you want to hear something really funny? Talking about Eustace Clarence Mullins Jr., born the 3rd month on the 9th day of 1923, passed away the 2nd month of the 2nd day, 2010. And here's how Wikipedia opens up who he is. And I've long since stopped using Wikipedia. I don't even open it. But here's the header it writes. It reads, was an American white supremacist, anti-Semitic, conspiracy theorist, propagandist, Holocaust denier, and writer. a disciple of the poet Ezra Pound. His best known work, and this is the clincher, The Search of the Federal Reserve, in which he alleged that several high-profile bankers had conspired to write the Federal Reserve Act for there and then ... plus. Now, if that is not proof of what a Wikipedia is about,
Yes.
I don't know how to make it any clearer to anybody reading this.
Wow.
Amen.
It's
Because
not a real.
we now know for certain, without doubt, what the Federal Reserve is, what the money changers are about.
Yes.
That's-
Yes.
that's-
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. And this is what they do. They vilify the
demonize,
character.
yeah.
The character of those who love the truth and try and save people. Yes. We
I've
had
been noticing more and more in
Handsome fella,
foods
too.
that I'm looking at labels. There are just multiple dyes, like 3 and 4 colors and a lot of things. And on 207 of this book, he says 9 of the dyes commonly used in foods in the United States are as follows. And you got orange number 1, 2, yellow 1, 2, 3, 4, green 1, 2, 3, and blue 1. And it tells you what they put them in. And it says yellow AB and yellow OB, which are known cancer hazards, have been widely used to color margarine and butter. They are made from a dangerous chemical called beta-naphthalene.
Yep.
It is notable because it has low toxicity, that is, it's not poison in its effect, but it's one of the most carcinogenic substances known.
Yes.
I mean, if you read this book, it's so stunning.
Oh.
And it's
Read-
the Rockefeller, goes back to Rockefeller
Yeah.
and Rothschild, wanting to get rid of their chemical stuff that they didn't know what to do with.
So one of the things I would suggest to do when looking at water, when you go, if you're going to buy bottled water, look at the ingredients. We have counsel in Spirit of Prophecy about not using the baking soda. That it's an issue. We shouldn't be using that. And baking soda is sodium bicarbonate. This water bottle I've got here,
so many of them have it in.
and a lot of them have this sodium bicarbonate. And I'd have to look it up to see which one, but there is a video, it's on YouTube already, that I did, I think Water of Life or something like that is called. And I showed a lot of the different waters, and I talk about it literally. The calcium chloride it's road deicer. It has, and it's interesting, and it's in the water. It's in numerous of these bottles that are sitting here.
The ones that turned color all have it in
So, calcium chloride, when I worked with and had to deal with material data safety sheets, so the first thing I did is looked up a material data safety sheet on calcium chloride, and I looked it up from several different manufacturers for their calcium chlorides. They all say virtually the same thing. It's really close.
Poison.
It is a poison. It is, if ingested, do not induce vomiting. Flush with pure water. Seek immediate medical attention. Can cause intestinal burnings. This is what it's done. So now we have, so we drink a bottle of, this one had it for sure. So we drink a bottle of water. We drink our calcium chloride in our water. It makes us thirsty, so now we drink another bottle of water, which they benefit from. They like that real well. But now, when we buy a can of tomatoes, most tomatoes have calcium chloride in it that you get from the grocery store. And so, and if you look it up, on the FDA website, they say that calcium chloride in minute amounts is not harmful. And it is salty in flavor, and it adds a good enhances flavors.
Like MSG.
And so this is why they're using that. But the problem is, you drink the water if you're a heavy water drinker, you're drinking lots of calcium chloride. Have tomatoes on some food, canned tomatoes, pickles, ketchup.
Over time, it causes fatty
if
liver.
you're a plant-based diet and you eat, I've seen it in vegetarian hot dogs. I have literally found this in all kinds. I went down through the grocery store one day with my phone taking pictures of labels. Most of the pre-processed food that you can buy, like the meals that are already, the TV dinners, we used to call them back in the day, many moons ago. They don't like that term anymore. But anyway, all their fancy deals, they contain calcium chloride. The majority, not all, but the majority. So when you drink it and you eat it and you from this and that, and it's in this snack food and that snack food, those that are doing that are not getting a little bit. And then they have indigestion. So why is it that we have in this water sodium bicarbonate? That is also an antacid. Yeah. So here's what they do. They put sodium bicarbonate in here. So because as your system becomes acidic because of the calcium chloride and because of your eating all the time and all of this that the average American does, you drink this bottle of water that has essentially an antacid built into it. You drink that, and afterwards, instead of burping acid burps, you don't have that problem. So now you're going to drink even more of their water. It's all about money. It's all about money is what it comes down to. And by the way, we could have probably given you, I couldn't have given you the detail that we did here with the testing. And I have to admit, I was really surprised about the pond water. That one kind of surprised me. But I had a hunch this was the kind of results that we were going to see. We had a pretty good idea of this because we have looked at pH levels and we've done the chemical tests on it and looked at the chlorine levels and the fluoride levels of water and stuff in the past with all of that. So, yeah, do the best you can do.
Hey, Brother Mark,
So
there's a couple of folks in the chat trying to get some advice.
Yes, I'm trying to go there. Hang on.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the first one, backing up a ways, whoops, and it just went away. Somebody says they get all their water from a waterfall in the mountains of Lillooet, BC. Should we test it? You could also boil it. They used to say that in the wilderness, a fast-flowing stream, especially if it hit a waterfall area where it could plummet and gain oxygen, it would purify itself in 180 feet, was it?
It was less than that. It was more like 60 to 80 feet. They were saying it would purify.
Okay. He's the number guy, I believe him.
That is not true any longer. That is not true because of all of the contaminants that are out there. There's a young man that we've known for many years. He and his family would always, like us, we'd go out in the woods on Sabbath and go hiking and whatnot. He had a backpack camping filter, water filter with him. And he would always filter his water. Well, one Sabbath, he forgot to take the filter with him. If I remember right, he either forgot it or it failed, but I think he forgot it. And he had taken, because they weren't going to be out that long, and he had taken a bottle of water with him from home, and they got way out, and he was super thirsty and hot and whatnot. And he thought, okay, well, here's fast-running water. It's likely purified. I'm not going to have a problem with Giardia. He filled his water bottle up. He drank it. He nearly died. Not immediately. It was over the next few months. Turns out that water, there'd been a rain that was heavy further, not in his area, but further away. And it was flowing through, and between the rain and the creek flowing and the mining that had been in the area, and all of those things were in there. There was all kinds of heavy metals in that water that he drank, and it all but killed him from drinking that. So with the waterfall, the question comes, how long is that water coming right out of the ground at the top of the fall, coming down the side of the hill, or is it a river or a creek that's been running for a ways?
Check out the landscape above it. In other
Yeah,
words,
see what's above.
yeah.
Maybe do some checking to see what kind of possible contaminants. You definitely don't want the heavy minerals and whatnot with that. Okay, another question.
Somebody says run it through a Berkey filter, but Berkey filter used pig bones for their charred pig bones to run it through.
And most Berkey,
What?
Yes.
most Berkey filters also, I've dealt with numerous ones. We've owned one. We had one given to us. They leak past the filters. You can't see it because it's all stainless. You can't see it happening. But most of them, I put brand new filters in it and detailed it real careful and put it together, and it leaked past the filters. So I called the manufacturer. I talked to them. They finally told me, well, that's only a small amount that leaks past. It's nothing to worry about. Anyway, that's...
Next question.
Are you serious? Berkeley?
Serious as
Yes.
a heart attack, sir.
Yep.
Substitute. They may have changed it.
I would not.
When we found out about it, it's been what, 7 or 8 years, and the people that we shared that with raised a row. And I know that when companies are attacked with things like that, sometimes they change. So you may check it again. We haven't.
No, it's been years since we've checked that.
It's asked here, can I substitute carbonated water for baking soda or powder?
Baking.
Okay.
I wouldn't use the
carbonated
water either. Well, there is a natural carbonation
Like
coming
mineral.
out of water in a mineral water.
Could I read something to you?
Sure.
This is actually, it's from a study that was done called The Science of Baking Soda. It's a 4-minute read, so I'm going to read as quickly as I can. Sodium bicarbonate, chemical formula NaHCO3, also called baking soda, is a crystalline salt found in the natural mineral form in nacrolite deposits. The science of baking soda has a long and interesting history. First isolated by Nicholas Leblanc in 1790s, it wasn't until the Solvay process was introduced in the 1860s that industrial scale production became possible. Today, this chemical powerhouse is produced globally with an estimated volume of 2 million tons per year.
Wow.
The science of baking soda, this unassuming salt, has a multitude of domestic and industrial uses including as a food additive, medicine, and cleaning product. It also finds its way into fireworks, fire extinguishers, fungicides, and pesticides, and may have new utility for companies looking to improve their environmental footprint. The Jekyll and Hyde compound. One of baking soda's most common uses is for cooking, often as a leavening agent in baked goods. Chemical leavening requires an acidic catalyst in the batter, such as yogurt or buttermilk. On contact with sodium bicarbonate, this causes the release of carbon dioxide in a simple acid-base reaction. Alternatively, baking soda can release smaller volumes of carbon dioxide without an acid simply by the process of thermal decomposition at temperatures above 50 degrees Celsius, although this typically leaves a characteristic bitter taste. Either way, the release of gas into the mixture as it cooks changes its dish's density and texture. If ingested in different ways, the gas-producing property of baking soda or sodium bicarbonate can cause very different effects. For people with acid reflux, sodium bicarbonate can act as an antacid to settle the stomach. It can also get rid of unwanted cockroaches, as feeding them a mixture of bicarbonate and sugar behind the refrigerator can cause their internal organs to explode. The history of baking soda. In 1927, the Journal of Chemical Education reported baking soda could be used to prevent the common cold by keeping an alkaline balance in the body through regulated doses of sodium bicarbonate, along with small quantities of chalcedine and iodine. Today we know that not only does baking soda have antibacterial properties, but that it can alter bacterial susceptibility to antibiotics by targeting proton motor force, making it a potential new weapon in the arms race against antibiotic resistant, possibly as an adjuvant to antibiotic therapy. Baking soda, as sodium bicarbonate, has long been used to tackle many household chores, from polishing silver to removing a mildew buildup on your shower curtain. It is also often used to neutralize bad odors, which could be very useful in a library to absorb musty smells from old or heavily used books. Baking soda can even be used in the conservation of old or fragile paper with a high acid content, where it can act as a neutralizer and buffer against further decay. New research into the science of baking soda is focusing on larger scale applications of baking soda's cleaning and absorbent properties. In fruit production, it has proved useful in removing pesticides from the surface of eating apples more efficiently than commercial sanitizers. This is due to the chemical degradation of the pesticide when it comes into contact with sodium bicarbonate salt. There may also be industrial-scale cleaning potential for coal-fired power plants and other industrial facilities where sodium bicarbonate can be used as a cost-effective solution to neutralize flue gases, acting to both reduce air emissions and generate a marketable product. There is even National Bicarbonate of Soda Day on December the 30th. This day for celebrating the science of baking soda is appropriately timed, considering all the baked goods we consume around the holidays and the often inevitable indigestion that comes from it. It is clear this humble salt has numerous uses, with no signs of its utility diminishing in modern world, as we have seen in this look at the science of baking soda. This hard-working compound definitely earns its day of celebration. So you can see it has these good and these bad applications.
Where's the source from that? What's the source, sister?
The source is AC Axial, cross-disciplinary concepts. So it's looking at it from a scientific perspective.
Sounds like you're looking at it from a chemistry type of perspective more so than anything.
Yes, but it is actually written by Alice Graves and Kate Coleman, and this is just the shortened version.
So, here's what I would say about the baking soda, sodium bicarbonate. The book Healthful Living. I just went to something real quick. Here, just to give you a reference, hot biscuits raised with soda or baking powder should never appear upon our tables. Such compounds are unfit to enter the stomach. Mm-hmm. And the very next one, this is page 81, by the way. The very next one I think is very interesting. It says, salvuratus in any form should not be introduced into the stomach. So I had to look that up and figure out what it is. It's potassium bicarbonate. So I have a water here in front of me. It says purified water, magnesium sulfate, potassium bicarbonate, and potassium chloride. So here we have salvuratus, whatever, if I'm saying it right, that also should never be introduced into the stomach, into the water, in our drinking water.
That's because they're using a chemical process. So baking soda is naturally occurring in its crystalline compound, but for the baking, to get to the baking side of things, it's mined and then it's taken through a chemical process. So it's basically taken out of its natural state. That's basically at the end of the day. And that's what happens with any medicine. If you see what they do with any antibiotics and stuff like that, they take a plant, something from a plant, and then they synthesize it. So in a sense, they're taking the inverted commas baking soda, or should say the original salt in its natural occurring form, and they're changing it. They're changing its chemical composition, which basically at the end of the day is harmful, just like drug medication.
Yeah. We got a table back. Okay.
Brother Mark, there was someone that
yes.
put something up there. I don't know if we've addressed it yet. They have an issue in the shower.
It's what?
They're having an issue in the shower where they say they get a scab when they take a shower and it goes away and comes back. I guess we probably need more information on that one.
Yeah.
So, first of all, where do you live?
Good afternoon, everyone. Molly, it's Avel. I had just a burning issue on my ear, and it used to bother me when I go in the shower. Now it forms a scab. I know one time you mentioned that it something to do. It could be the starting of cancer, something like that. So I was just asking advice on what you would do with something like that. Right now, I'm using castor oil and with a cotton on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to know if you have any other advice.
For scabs.
It won't heal up well. It's just a slight thing, but it forms a little scabby area, which is not big, you know.
And it doesn't. It does. You're saying it doesn't go away?
No, it won't turn back to normal skin. It would just get back scabby again. But the small scab.
So
sounds like a fungal.
No, it's not scratching, not anything.
it burned when he got in the shower. Now it's formed.
It sounds to me like a deficiency in some kind of mineral vitamin.
Right.
It was like a crack there, and he used to burn, you know, just like if you got a small scratch. But no, it got a little cyst, a little scab over it, and if that scab goes away, next one, if I move it, the next one will come back. I think I heard you mention about 2 weeks ago that it was something that would eventually, you know, you got to be careful, it'll go to cancer. And I was wondering if anything like castor oil packed on it will help.
Yeah, I would try the black ointment, Christopher's black ointment on if I were you, because if there's something in there, it's going to pull it out and heal it up. It won't let it heal up.
And if it is a type of a skin cancer, it'll help.
Take care of that, yeah.
So it's...
How do I get... You could get it online?
Yes.
Yes. You could reach out to us during the week and we could help get you connected to the right one. But Dr. Christopher's black ointment.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
So how long has this been going on, brother?
Well, I kept feeling the little burning about 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And now it isn't burning anymore. It's just a slight scab would come up.
Okay.
But it won't heal. It will turn back into a scab if I move it.
Okay.
But it's very tiny. It's very small now. But
I think that black ointment would be definitely a good one for it.
In the book Ministry of Healing, it talks about ascertaining the cause. What I generally will do, if something pops up with me, I would try to retrace even as far as a year back, my brother, to see if there may have been something that changed in my diet, in my environment.
Stress
things
level,
like that.
or how long has it been since you took a parasite cleanse? Because with...
quite a while, but I was suspecting it could be, born... overuse, overexposure to the sun.
Okay. Overexposure what? To the sun?
Too. It could be psoriasis, or it could be just a basal cell carcinoma, just the first layer of the skin.
Yeah. In which, if it is the black ointment, we've seen that take the carcinomas away. So I would encourage you to get on a parasite cleanse, though. I've put some contact in there for you.
Yeah, check the chat. And Melanie sent you a private message there.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So, and I think there was another one. Did we get them all? Greetings.
Hi, Sister Melanie.
Yes.
I think I want to talk to you private because I told you I was sick for a while, and I would want to chat with you privately because I want some advice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, can do that. And we were going to talk about garlic as well today, but our time is
Our time's gone, and there's no way we're going to do it in 10 minutes.
And yeah, we're already at almost 2 hours. So I guess garlic will be next week, and whatever else the Lord throws in our way in the process with that. So, well, there you have an idea of some water.
Oh, somebody asked, is there another way to test other than the little electronic tester that you tested with?
There is the test strips, different brands. I've had 2 different ones here.
It takes a lot to make.
But we noticed it took a whole lot of change. Like when I had to add the salt, I added a little bit. No, didn't change. Tried it again. Finally added 1/8 of a cup of salt to a quart of water and did it and got it to like make a big change. So it they work, just not super accurate. For detailed, it would be nice if there would be a way that we could find some type of way to test that would be a little bit higher accuracy. And if anybody comes up with that, I'm not a chemist, don't profess to be. So if somebody else knows something out there that would be easy
you did that one.
for all of us, to be able to use, that would be awesome. Anyway,
Drink your water.
yes,
Drink really good water.
carefully.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking it easy on us, Brother Mark and Sister Mom. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. What, Donna?
I'd like to throw a little bit more tidbit in there because, like, when I go to Bossier City, where I grew up, that water is just extremely toxic. And of course, my sister-in-law down there, she just buys cases and cases and cases of bottled water. But I'm thinking, what a crime. It's nearly criminal to have to pay $60 to $80 a month for a water bill for water you cannot drink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Branson or Berrien Springs, where there's, these big Adventist monopolies or whatever you want to call them, that water up there in Berrien Springs was the most toxic I've ever seen. It was just unbelievable. And the chemtrails were horrible. So I'm thinking when we congregate ourselves into large cities or populations of Adventists, we're easier targets.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I had some questions about gout that's not going away after turning to
Let's
a
hit
vegan.
it later because we're out of time.
Okay. So we'll hit that next
maybe
week.
next
then.
week.
Okay.
I was just thinking that with that thought left. I was thinking and then it left. Okay. So I guess we won't worry about it. I hate it when that happens.
You've been on fluoridated water?
Yeah, fluoridated water. Duh. We've actually done the best we could to eliminate. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So instead of buying cases and cases of water that's in plastic, you might be better to look into getting a under sink reverse osmosis system that you can either put in yourself or have somebody help you put it in or whatever, and you'll have your own reverse osmosis water. You'll find it to be less expensive. It's cheaper. A distiller could be an option as well to get one of those. Use the city water to and distill it until you can get yourself in a better situation and a better option. And because we didn't address the plastic with the bottles that the water is in, and that's less than good as well. And I see another hand, Tracy.
Thank you both. This was really wonderful today. I'm curious about that filtration system. You had mentioned like the water that you bathe in and you shower in.
I've noticed a significant dulling of my mental state in the last 3 years. I bought a house across town in a different place, and I had really good water where I was. It was out of town, and so the water is really bad here. It's a lot of heavy metals. You see the zinc and all the things that are coming into your sink and everything, so I wouldn't drink it. My neighbor says, "Oh, it's the best water ever." I'm like, no, it's not.
If it comes from a municipal system, it's likely not real good.
When you had good water, you know bad water, right?
Right.
In Spokane, Washington, back in the 80s, in the mid-1980s, Spokane, Washington was, and I know this because my uncle worked at the sewer treatment plant, they were filtering the water at the sewer treatment plant and putting it back into the water system. And that was in the 1980s.
Ew. Terrible.
I'd love to get some of that water to test it here and see how it reacted, but I'd probably want a hazmat suit to do it.
Let her finish.
I'm curious about the filtration system like you would use for your shower, and that's where I'm at. I'm sure there are people that can do that, or there's, we could talk about this after Sabbath, but
yes.
I am interested to talk about how to purify all the water coming into your house.
Ascorbic acid. I heard that some people are using ascorbic acid filters to purify the water, especially shower water, bath water.
Okay.
That I had not heard.
I've never heard of that. Using ascorbic acid for treating water.
That's
I don't
amazing.
know. Yeah, it's totally new. I don't have a clue.
It's a new thing.
So, and we could talk to you later, Tracy, about that kind of, or anybody else for that matter, that kind of equipment for a whole house situation.
God blessed us very much, because when we landed in Tennessee and realized, shock, this was not water, this was chemical soup. We got on our knees and started praying and said, Lord, we don't want to go brain dead here. You've brought us here. Now help us. Please help us. And
it's been a learning curve.
It was interesting because we went to a big box store, and our son was along, and he said, hey, Mama, fill one of those out, because it was a free something or other. And so I filled it out. I never win anything, but months later, the phone rings, and the fellow said, well, we saw your name in this deal there that we had in the store, and you get a free testing of your water. And I said, it's bad water. I said, what are you doing testing? Long story short, he came out, and because of the time of year, and the fact that the house that we had bought already had an old archaic unit in it
that didn't work, we got a huge price reduction in the system that we got for filtration. So storm the gates of heaven is all I can say, because God is still in the miracle business. Yep.
We had a whole house system at one time, but we have reduced it just to the kitchen, and like the water we use for watering plants and stuff, it's no longer on the filtration system, because your filters would not last very long.
Right, they don't.
So
they don't.
Yes, we took that off, but we've had filtered waters for most of the years we've lived here, and we've also had our water tested periodically to make sure that, we're doing the right thing.
Praise God. Okay.
Okay, let's have a prayer and close. Our dear Heavenly Father, we come thanking you so much for your leading and your guiding. We thank you for the things that we've been able to learn. And I pray that you will help us each one in our many different situations to be able to do better, for we desire to have pure, clean bodies and to be in health. And we just thank you for your loving watch care. Please guide and direct and help us to be fully surrendered to our Lord and Savior and King. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.